Hi everybody, it's Hilary here from We Love Smart Keto, talking today about starting strong on keto. So give me a 1 if you're watching live, and a 2 if you're watching on the replay. If you are watching on the replay, do make sure to play along as if it's live, because you'll get a lot more out of it. And and I'll see your comments, and I will also respond to your comments, even if you're putting in some comments after, if you're watching on the replay. So we're talking today about starting strong on keto and why it's important, if you're just getting started, why it's important to start strongly. There's evidence to suggest that if you start strong with a good plan and really focused on why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to do keto, then you're going to have better success. So that's a really good reason for thinking about, if you are starting on keto, really planning and thinking about how you're going to start. And I'm going to ask you, do you think it's better to take massive action to really go really hard at it? Or do you think it's better to take tiny steps? So if you think it's better to take massive action, put massive in the comments. And if you think it's better to take tiny steps, put tiny in the comments. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what can work better in what situation in a minute. Personally, for me, I find that if I've got time to only focus on one thing and go out hard, then maybe that can work. But really, who's got time for that in their lives? We're all busy people. We have jobs, we have families, we have many other things. So while if you've got the luxury of being able to focus totally on one thing, massive action might be great. In fact, for most people, taking tiny steps, step by step, works better. Putting in a tiny habit, a really small thing at a time, getting that really bedded in, and then taking the next step, that can work much better for most people. So if you thought tiny, then you're generally right. Massive can also be right, but you need to have, I guess, the brain power, this mental space to be able to take that massive action. And for some people do have that space to do that, and that's great. But for many of us, it's not possible. And in that case, tiny steps can really work better. So starting strong. What does starting strong with keto mean? Does it mean make a decision and then instantly, your steps of keto? Well, probably not. For me, that's not how it works. For me, I wanted to study it, wanted to understand it a bit better before I started. And that's great, but don't get stuck in that. Don't get stuck in, I need to read this expert and then that expert, and all the experts disagree slightly. And oh my goodness, what should I be doing? Should I be having this sweetener or that sweetener, or should I be having no sweetener? Should I be eating every meal? Should I be skipping meals? What should I be doing? You can get really stuck in that, analysis paralysis, I think is what it's called. So we don't want to get stuck in there. So the motto that we want to use, which goes along with tiny habits, is learn a little, do a little. There are many things in keto that are pretty standard and that aren't really in dispute. And so that's what we want to do. We want to do kind of middle of the road stuff. I'm not really into extremes. You can go off and just eat eggs for 3 weeks if you want. That's completely fine. Eggs are very healthy. Personally, I wouldn't want to only eat eggs for 3 weeks. You can do that, fine. No problem. Eggs are very nutritious. But for me personally, to me, that's a little bit extreme. I want to be able to live a reasonable life while I'm doing keto. So suggest learn a little, do a little, and then put it into practice, and really just sort of stick to what's proven, what's generally of consensus. I think is kind of important. And certainly here at We Love Smart Keto, we love smart. We like looking after ourselves, which is the love part, and we also love smart. So, if there's something new and evidence-based and is not, or is not going to do any harm, then I will certainly suggest it for you to experiment a little bit with. So when we talk about starting strong, tell me, did you go out hard when you started keto, or did you do it step by step? So if you went out hard, put hard. And if you went step by step, put step in the comments. I'd be really interested to see how you approached it. So it's really important to think about, when you're starting keto, how it's going to work for you. If you've got a really busy period in your life coming up, and maybe you're traveling, or you've got there's the holidays coming up where you're going to be in social occasions, or which is less happening for us at the moment, but obviously we've got some holidays coming up in the near future. Think about, is it going to fit? Because you don't want to sort of be in conflict at the beginning. You need to give yourself as straight a path as you can. So if it's a question of waiting a week or two, I think it's better to do that than it is to start and then stop and go, oh, I tried that and it failed. We need to set ourselves up for success as much as possible. So think about, what's the date you're going to start? Is it going to work for you in terms of everything else that's happening in your life? So that's the first thing. The second thing is to think about, what are the steps you're going to take? What's the first thing that you're going to do? And I would suggest starting with the easy things. It's always, set yourself up for a success right from the beginning, even if it's the tiniest of successes. We set that up, we make that success, we embed it, and we celebrate it. So the simplest thing to start with might be just, I'm cutting out seed oils. I'm not going to have sunflower oil. I'm not going to have vegetable oil. I'm not going to have canola oil, because those, as we know, are inflammatory and are not good for us. And they're easily swapped out for things like olive oil, coconut oil. So make a really small change and set that out. The other thing we want to do is set up our environment so that it's right for us. So clean out your kitchen cupboards to the extent that you can. Think about, if you're going to go out for a meal, look up the menu online before you go, so that you can see what you can eat. If it's not an appropriate restaurant and there's nothing there that you think is appropriate, then, think about changing that out. So think about the environment that you're in. Do you have any triggers? Is there a candy jar somewhere that you have? If you do, and perhaps your other members of your family or the workspace want to have it, think about, can you put it somewhere else so that it's out of sight? Can you put up a screen if it's at work? Can you put up a screen so that you can't see it? All these really simple things that sound so simple, actually really powerful and really effective. So think about the environment that you're in. Also think about the support network that you're going to have. Are you going to have a close friend or relative that's going to be able to support you, or even do it with you? Great to do things as a team. And obviously we've got the group in We Love Smart Keto. And if you're watching this and you're not a member, please join. It's just We Love Smart Keto on Facebook. Come and join us in the group, and we've got a network here, very, very supportive group to help you through that, so that you can talk about the troubles, the tribulations, and the successes that you're having. So get that sorted out. The other thing is, think about what meals you're going to be having. Are you going to be eating in? Are you going to be eating out? What are you going to eat? And think about the simple things that you can do just to cut out the carbs, and do it step by step. You don't have to go the whole hog right at the beginning. Some people find it easier to go cold turkey and do it really all in one go. But as I said, you really need to have the space, because it's a big change. It can be a big change for people. So sometimes going stepwise can really help. Be really interested, what's the thing that you did first on your keto journey? Was it cutting out sugar, moving to sweeteners, changing from milk to cream? What was the first thing that you did? The next thing is, we want to make that transition pleasurable. So, for example, when I first started keto, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to give up, things that I eat as standard and I've eaten all my life. How am I going to cope without them? And then I thought really hard about it, and I thought, there's lots of lovely keto things that I really enjoy. And so I'm going to make sure in this transition that I'm going to have some of those. So I particularly love beautiful French cheeses. So I went out and I bought myself some quite expensive French cheese that I wouldn't normally eat. And for the first week of keto, that was a real pleasure for me to have these beautiful cheeses that in the past I would have denied myself. Now, I've been on keto quite some time now. I very occasionally have a beautiful French cheese. I don't buy them every week. But for that very first week that I was doing keto, I made sure that I had something that was absolutely delicious and totally keto. Perhaps didn't help me weight loss in that first week, but it made that transition really pleasurable. And, it was something that I really enjoyed and I really looked forward to. So again, learn a little, do a little, make the change easy, make the change as pleasurable as you possibly can. So, even if it's something that's a reward, if I get to the end of this day, then I'm able to watch, one of my favorite shows, an episode of my favorite show, because I've done these things that I said I was going to do. Give yourself a reward, a non-food reward, but a reward. And then the last thing that I'm going to suggest for you today is to really make sure that you've thought about all the things that can go wrong. Think about, if this is my first week on keto, my first week of taking steps towards keto, where are the pitfalls? Am I going to be in an environment where I'm, perhaps people are going to be forcing me to have things that I don't want to have? Am I going to be in an environment where I'm going to be a bit stressed and I'm going to go to, a comfort food that, maybe a candy or, something, fries or something in the past that I would have had? Think about where the things might go wrong and think about what plan, what actions you're going to put in place, what alternatives, maybe I'm going to, do 5 minutes of a breathing exercise instead if I'm feeling a bit stressed. Put that plan in place in advance of it happening, because then you're more likely to take that action. So the last thing I'm just going to talk about is the love in Love Smart Keto. So what's really important is that we are kind to ourselves. When you're starting and you're starting strong, there will be setbacks. You will be, perhaps you might eat something and then you look at the label afterwards and you go, oh, actually that wasn't, keto friendly. I shouldn't perhaps have eaten it. Okay. Oh, well, that's all right. We live and we learn. Okay. We live to fight another day. You just next time are aware of it and you make a better choice next time. Just be gentle with yourself. We learn a little, we do a little, maybe we make a couple of mistakes. So we learn a little and we do a little again. So my suggestion to you is just be gentle, be kind with yourself. This is a big transition and it's a big change when you're starting out. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, was starting strong on keto, taking tiny steps. I've probably said it 100 times, learn a little, do a little, learn from what you've done, do a little more. So also at the moment, I'm just making an offer at the moment for some free 30-minute personal coaching sessions. So if you would like to chat to me about starting out in your keto journey, or even if you're a little bit further along and just want to have a free 30-minute session with me, just put yes in the comments. So just yes, and I will just send you a link where you can sign up for a 30-minute session with me. You will get also, once you've signed up, a questionnaire just to fill out, and that's to help make the most of our session together. We've got a few people already signed up. There are a few more slots. There's only a few slots left, in fact. So do make sure that you sign up. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this again. It's a little bit of an experiment. So make sure you jump in this time and get your opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you. You're already booked in and getting your questionnaires done. So that's fantastic. So as I said, if you're interested in helping you really start strong on your keto journey, or if you want to talk about where you're at, then please put yes in the comments and we'll get you booked in for one of those sessions. So wonderful to see you. See you again in the group. I'll be in answering questions and comments. So remember to put your comments in and your questions in the group, and put yes if you'd like to sign up for a 30-minute free session with me. Thanks, guys. See you in the group.